happiest of Friday. And welcome to another edition of 5 Horror Movie Fun Facts starring me. Today's movie comes at the request of a mutual. Shout out to Lem McMillan for this one. And no, I still haven't done an Excel sheet for all these movies. I really need to sit down and do that. Anyway, let's just jump right into this one. Today's movie, High Tension, 2003. And spoiler alert, I will be discussing the end of this film. So if you're in the know, then you know I got to talk about it. But if you're not, and you don't like spoilers, please favorite this and watch this review later and go see this movie. Stream it. Go stream this movie. Anyway, fun fact number 1. High Tension premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival in 2003. Screening went so well that Lionsgate swooped in and purchased the rights for North American distribution. Now, if we are talking about the lane of New French Extremity, which if you don't know what that is, that's kind of like, you know how humanities professors talk about eras in art, like the Baroque period and so forth. The same is true in horror. Many people, including author Alexandra West, cites High Tension as, and I quote, an unintentional bastion into New French Extremity. If you're wondering what type of movie that entails, think like Martyrs or Raw. That sort of thing. Moving on. Fun fact number 2. Cécile de France, who, by the way, I had to look up to see if that was her actual real name and not a stage name. It is, incidentally speaking. Or at least I couldn't find anything saying that it wasn't, so yeah. But Cécile de France actually did most of the stunt driving in the car chase scene, that like going through the woods. She also trained with a Thai boxer to get in shape for this film, which I can see that because both her and her co-star May Wen had to. It was one of those grueling types of set. Like, they had to run barefoot for a lot of what was going on in this, through the cold in the woods. So yeah, it took a lot of stamina to perform these roles. Fun fact number 3. Okay, so about a minute, give or take, was cut from the original theatrical version of this film to avoid an NC-17 rating, of course, as you do. The scenes were added back in the, I think, DVD release, in a later DVD release, if I remember correctly. But the things that were cut out, that I obviously can't show you any pictures of, were as follows. Alex's father's, with the bookcase, that was cut down significantly. Apparently, it was way more graphic in the original. Almost all of the death of Alex's mother was cut down. Like, significantly. We just see, the actual literal, Also, the Jimmy the gas station clerk, that one was cut down significantly. The scene where the protagonist hits the killer with a barbed wire pole, that was cut down. One of the 2 concrete saw scenes was cut down. The one where she gets the driver. And lastly, there's supposed to be a close-up of the crowbar that's stuck in Marie's shoulder that they took out completely. But fret not, if you've got a DVD copy of this movie, you'll get to see all that stuff in all of its gory glory. That would be a great name for a band. Anyway, fun fact number 4. So this movie is influenced by Dean Koontz's novel Intense. Like, even if you've been in a bookstore or a library in the last 20 years, you've seen this book. In all of its variations. The cover is loud. It's really loud. Well, apparently the similarities from the book to this movie were so significant that people started to wonder if Dean Koontz was going to sue for plagiarism. Dean Koontz elected not to do so because, and I quote, he found the film so puerile, so disgusting, and so intellectually bankrupt that he didn't want the association with it that would inevitably come if he pursued action against the filmmaker. That's what was on his website, which I got to keep it a buck with you. If a famous horror writer read some of my books or experienced anything that I had created and said something like this about it, you couldn't tell me nothing. Anyway, finally, fun fact number 5. So the entire structure of how this story is told was a little different in the original screenplay. Like in the movie, we find out in the third act, at like pretty much the climax of the third act, that all of these horrors are not being done by some mysterious slasher, but rather by our protagonist, right? And in the original screenplay, the story was supposed to be told. The story is told from Marie's perspective, but you don't find out that she's the killer until the very, very, very end. The scene where we see the detectives view her on camera killing the gas station attendant. Well, that was supposed to happen within the last 5 minutes when she's in the hospital. Police officer would roll in the TV, show the film, and then ask her if she'd like to change her story. Honestly, I prefer this ending. Luc Besson was the one who consulted on the screenplay and ended up changing it to the one that we know. And I feel like that is way more impactful. And now, for the bonus fun fact, actress Mei Wen, who plays the poor doomed Alex in this movie, if you've got facial blindness the way I have, to where you see parts of a face as opposed to the whole thing, she probably looked a little familiar to you. Yes, it was the same actress. She was the diva in Fifth Element. Unfortunately, no, she did not do the singing, but yeah, that's it. Thank you for joining me for this week's edition of 5 Horror Movie Fun Facts. Join me next week. I will have another. Okay, bye.